Hi guys, I'm Corey Davis from Corbin Training, and I'm going to show you how to bench press more weight today. Alright, step one, to bench press well, you need to have a really strong setup. So there's three things we are going to think about when we're setting up tight. So first, we're going to think about our upper back. So camera person, come over here. I don't want to bench press with my shoulder blades rolled forward. One, that's a weak position where we're more likely to get hurt, and two, it's going to be harder. So as I'm getting set up to bench press, the first thing I need to do is I need to pull my shoulder blades back. Notice as I do that, it kind of elevates my position here and puts my shoulders in a healthier position. So I'm not benching from here, I'm benching from here. There's a lot of different ways to do that. I like to just pull up on the bar and then set back down. And as I do, I retract my shoulder blades. I've also seen people use the rack to kind of push their shoulder blades farther down. Whatever you need to do to get tight there is fine. Just make sure that you do pull your shoulder blades back into a good strong position. Second, we're gonna get a little bit of an arch in our low back. So it doesn't need to be a huge arch in our low back, but we do wanna have some space there where somebody can slide their hand under. So as I'm setting up, the way I do it is I pull my shoulder blades back, then I lift up and kind of move my hips back so that when I set my feet down, there's a little bit of a space here. I've seen people use ab mats underneath that area. I've seen people use foam rollers if they're super advanced. I don't really care what you use, but you do want to have some space there where you can get a little bit better position. And then finally your feet. So the closer you have your feet back here, the more tension you'll be able to create, which is a really good thing. The downside to it is the farther your feet come back this way, the more difficult it'll be to create leg drive. So what you have to figure out is with your feet, if you want to have your feet farther back to create more tension, or if you want to have your feet a little bit farther forward to create more leg drive. That's just something you want to experiment with. As you create more leg drive, you'll have less overall tension. As you move your feet back and have more tension, you'll create less leg drive. They're both fine. The important thing is that you try both and figure out what works well for you. I am more of a tension guy, so my actual setup would look like this. Here, get into a really good position, drop my feet down, and then I, from this position, then draw my heels all the way down to the floor. Now from this position, there's already a ton of tension created, and I can't actually get that much leg drive, but that works well for me. My buddy Clay benches over 100 pounds more than I do, and when he sets up, he has his feet a little bit farther forward, still with some tension, but then that allows him to create a ton of leg drive. So just try that. I promise you, if you do these three things and work on your setup, you will be able to bench press more weight right now. All right, my second tip for you is to improve your technique. So the first thing I want you to try is I want you to move your hands wider. There are some people that are gonna bench press more weight with their hands narrower. Those people have bigger arms than you. There are obviously exceptions, but we don't have that many followers on YouTube, and the odds of you having giant 20-inch arms and following us on YouTube and looking at me, someone who only benches 405 for bench press advice, is slim. So you sitting at home right now need to try moving your hands wider when you're bench press. I put my hands as far out as you are legally allowed to do them. I put my index finger on that little ring right there. So when I go to bench press, I'm in a wide position. Why am I doing that? Because as I get into a wider position, it involves more of my pecs, which are bigger than my scrawny arms. When you come in here narrower, more emphasis gets put on your triceps, and unless you have 20-inch arms, that's probably not going to be a better grip for you. Now, the first time you try it, you may not do better than you normally bench press because it's a new technique, but I promise you it's better. The first time you switched over in typing from hunting and pecking to using the home keys, you were worse, but now it's a lot better. I promise you going wider on your bench press is going to be beneficial for you. Second, I want you to improve your technique by taking your chest to the bar. So what I want you to do when you bench press is I want you to actively think about that you're not pressing down here and letting that bar crash into your chest and kind of cave in. Instead, because we want to make this as advantageous for us as possible, I want you to think about taking a big breath and inflating your chest. When my guy Noah is spotting me, really the only tip he gives me, the only thing he's reminding me of before a big lift is that I need to bring my chest up to the bar. As I unrack it, I get nice and tight, and then I take a big deep breath and get my chest up as high as I can. So instead of bench pressing to here, what you guys are doing at home is you're letting it cave in, and you need to bench press that much farther-ish every rep. That obviously makes it harder. That's another reason that going wider, besides taking advantage of your big strong pecs instead of your scrawny arms, when you go wider, you don't have to move the barbell as far. So I'm going wider, and then I'm thinking about taking my chest up to the bar on every rep. So one of the things I do when I'm training somebody how to bench press better is I will sit them down on the bench and I'll say, hey, touch my hand. And they'll arch a little bit, and I'll move it up a little bit higher, and they have to do more of that. They have to get more tension, and then finally that final breath to get up as high as possible to put themselves in a real position to succeed. I promise this will help you a ton. Finally, when you are trying to improve your bench press strength and technique, our final rule is specificity. I'm only going to say that once because there's a hole in my brain where pronouncing that word should be, and I got it right on the first try. I'm not going to try it again. You need to be more specific when it comes to your bench press. Here are the 2 bench press variations you should do. 1, actual bench press, regular old bench press with 0 changes, and 2, something that's super close to it, both in terms of technique and weight. That's why I'm not a huge fan of people getting half of their barbell bench press volume from a variation like a dumbbell bench press. Let's say you're super strong. Let's say you bench press 300 pounds and you walk over to the rack and you grab the 100-pound dumbbells because that's the heaviest thing they have or it's the heaviest thing you can handle. That's not that much weight for you. 200 pounds is a lot, but if you bench press 300 pounds, it's not nearly enough. You would never go do a bench press workout where you're only benching 200 pounds. But on the dumbbells, that's super hard. Scrap the dumbbells and instead start working in something like a pause bench press. Work in a narrow grip bench press. Work in a Spoto press. Buy some bench blocks and start working on some bench blocks. Now you're not only getting another barbell press variation, but you're getting something that's actually heavier than what you're used to doing. So instead of your dumbbell bench press where you're handling 2/3 of the load you would actually handle normally, you're now handling something that's 105, 110% of the load you'd normally handle. Bonus points on that secondary variation if it's also working on a weak point. If you figure out that your weak point in the bench press is the time right off your chest, then a pause variation is great for that, or a wider bench press grip is great for that. If you figure out that you're weak at the lockout, then some close grip or some board presses could be a really good variation to bring up your lagging triceps. If you figure out you're weak in the middle, then a Spoto press could be great for you. If you figure out that you're overly reliant on your leg drive and your arch, or you're sore from arching and leg driving so hard on Monday and now it's your secondary Thursday bench press workout, then a Larson press could be a great variation. Experiment around, find out what works for you, but stop doing dumbbell bench press with bands on incline for sets of 20 when you're trying to bench press more weight. If you want it to work for you, it needs to be specific to the bench press, so you can't go changing a bunch of things. Your rule is regular bench press or small change from regular bench press. Those are my tips. If you do these 3 things, I promise you will bench press more weight today.